What is up, Razorback Nation? We are back with your Sunday Razor recap, or to accurately describe it today, your Sunday therapy after what happened last night for Arkansas basketball on the road. And we'll dive into that more in a little bit. But before we get started here, we got to thank our friends over at Razor Pigs. Looking good never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Found right here at home and now run by a Razorback loving family, Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool. So go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. And our friends over at Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. You can check them out today. And if you are in Northwest Arkansas, check out the Core Brewery Tap Room where you can get Scarlet Letter in all of its various flavors. And yeah, Sunday afternoon, it's not as pleasant as the last few have been in terms of Arkansas basketball. Baseball managed to come back and take the series. But yeah, I mean, we watched the game together last night, and there's not a whole lot to say on that other than, man, that was rough.
Yeah. Obviously, I think don't overreact and freak out to the loss. I mean, you came in with 7, you were able to throw a ceiling to make an 8-man rotation. Honestly, Florida's probably one of the 2 or 3 teams we match up worst with. So, I mean, I even said before the game to you, I think to some other people, hey, I honestly was expecting a 10 to 15 point loss. Not trying to be negative, but I was trying to be real. I didn't think it'd be as bad as it was. But, it's one of those where not only the quality of their bigs, but how many they have that they can throw at you between Hawg, however you say it, Condon, Chinyalu, and then Handlone off the bench, all 4 of them. I mean, they were just able to wear us down in the paint. And it doesn't help our bigs got in foul trouble early. But yeah, it's a tough matchup. And as long as March Madness, if we end up on a different side of the bracket than them, I'm happy. I was kind of telling you before, it's right now Michigan, Duke, and Florida are the 3 teams I'm just like, we do not match up well with them size-wise. I think Arizona can also pose some challenges, but I think the way Arizona plays, we'd at least still be able to kind of get some things that we're wanting out of that. But those are kind of the 3 I'm looking to avoid come March. So it's going to be tough. But, I definitely don't think that last night was there goes the season. We can't compete with these guys. I think it's simply, A, they were all ramped up for game day. B, we came in lacking depth, lacking post play against them. And they kind of just ran a very smart style of play where it was, okay, we're going to play physical. If they don't call it, we have more bigs and we can wear you down. Also, if they do call it, we have more depth and can get you in foul trouble. So it was kind of a lose-lose for us in terms of how they set up and how they played. Not to mention, their fans were all amped up again for game day. But I definitely don't want to go play another top 10 team on College game day anymore. That was kind of a bad taste in my mouth from it. But, there was still a couple bright spots. Billy put up his 5th straight 20-point game. He's been phenomenal of late. Also, second game in a row, you saw Wagner kind of step up and, he played well. And, I kind of mentioned that Thursday where, hey, once you get him some confidence, he can really be a quality guy that can kind of spell A-Cuff and let him kind of have more of a breather. You saw A-Cuff play 34 minutes this game. Wagner stepped up with 28 minutes. He had 12 points, 4 of 8 shooting. Big one was 3 of 4 from 3. So if he can kind of get consistent in that range right there, that just gives you another guard weapon that you're able to bring in. And, yeah. I mean, we don't have the quality of front court some of these teams, but our guard depth is pretty crazy compared to some of them. So might just have to kind of use that to our advantage moving forward. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, and that's like, we talked about last night as we were watching the game, that first, few minutes of the game, you know, you could tell the offense was really feeding through Billy because, the bigs, didn't have the speed and athleticism to keep up with him. Yeah, maybe they mismatched size wise with him, but Billy was cutting, through the lane and beating these guys off the dribble, and they just couldn't keep up with him. And so, that's one thing to your point. Our guard play is good enough that, if the team that we match up with, like you said, other than those ones you listed, don't have incredible front, your guard play is able to carry you for a while there. But yeah, I mean, great game by Billy. Led the team scoring 22 points, 9 of 17 from shooting, missed his only 2 threes. Perfect from the line, 4 of 4, gave you 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block, 2 steals in 39 minutes from Billy. So, seeing him play the entire game last night.
Yeah.
And then
I also think that Cal kind of came in with the right approach there because, yes, they started 3 guys who are all huge, and we had a size mismatch, but he tried to turn that into an advantage by having Billy with the slower guy on him. Problem is, Billy started to slow down a little bit when he was kind of being tested to do that nonstop. So it was one of those where Billy can kind of take advantage of their size and slowness and try to get some offense going. Problem is, he can only do that so much until he's out of gas.
right.
So it started off strong, but it was one of those you really needed other guys to step up once he started to slow down. And all credit to Florida, we were not able to get in a groove at all that game. It was rough, but I think that was a good way to at least start the game, coming in and focusing on Billy and getting the offense going through him.
Right. And it's one of those games where, they flash Cal a couple of times in the game, especially towards the late game where, I mean, what you could tell, it's like, for him, he's like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm down, a short rotation due to Knox being out. You're not really getting anything out of Pringle. You're getting somewhat.
Your bigs were in foul trouble as soon as possible, pretty much.
Right. And
I mean, it was one of those where it's just kind of one of those where, as a coach, you hate to do it because it messes with the team. But at some point, you kind of got to be like, okay, like at this point, we're not going to win this game. At least try to keep it respectable. And I feel like Cal almost thought, hey, like we can fire way back and win this, which obviously is good. But also having to acknowledge that and kind of change your style to not wear your guys out might have been smart to do. I mean, I hate to say it, but go zone a few possessions and try to slow them down there. Just make it to where they can't get the ball into the paint that easy. Because what was it, 56 paint points, I think, is what they got on us. So it was one of those where they were able to kind of just get into the paint and bully us all night. And granted, there were some times where it was like, okay, like you could tell our defense was led up to not get a foul. Kind of same thing with Bama in that second half. It was one of those, hey, I'm going to give them the 2 points now so I don't get a foul. But it's just with your depth, that's kind of the big issue you run into, and it's a big problem. But yeah, I mean, all in all, rough game. Glad to have it behind us. Hopefully we don't have to play them again this season. But, also big learning point, but also on the bright side, hey, you saw Wagner step up, contribute, be more of kind of a consistent presence there. You did see Acuff have one of his worst games of the season. I mean, he still put up 17 points, but 6 of 19 shooting. He had 3 turnovers. But he still had 6 assists to go with that. So that 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio was still second in the game behind Boogie Fland. But it's also like, okay, still not a bad game from Acuff. Yeah, his shots weren't falling. There early, I thought his shots were falling well, but then you could tell he was kind of just getting gas and getting tired from it. And that's one where you wish you had a 9-man rotation where you're able to give him a little bit more breather than a combined 6 minutes. So, but
and
hey,
it's very clear
look forward to next week and move on. Don't dwell on the loss.
It's very clear very clear that next season, Cal's got to tweak his formula, and I think they've already seen where there's been not necessarily outright comments from him, but inside the program, just the talk to need to maybe spend a little bit more and get a higher quality big in here because the focus last year was getting Acuff, Thomas, and those guys on campus. As far in terms of your NIL budget, and then not an afterthought, but Malik and Pringle were really secondary when it
focal
comes to
points in terms of
right.
You could tell kind of in the roster build that they didn't really prioritize a established big, not trying
Right.
to bash Pringle and Ewan at all. But you could tell that the focal point in the offseason was to get your guard room solid.
Right.
So I think now my only concern is, and I don't think we will, but the guys we have coming in and probably coming back, you saw it with Musselman. Whenever he realized a weakness in his team, the next year he almost overcompensated to fix that weakness. Okay, yeah, sure. I didn't have a big. Now I'm going to go in and get 5 bigs from the portal. So you obviously, with Cal's experience and tenure here in college basketball, I don't think he's going to do that. But definitely expect to see a established, maybe big name, maybe not, but I think, you're going to get a solid big who's going to be one of the hottest names in the transfer portal, most likely. I would expect to get one of them.
Right. And it's like you see like Transplanted Texans comment, and he's not wrong here. He's like, can we be completely honest? Pringle brings next to nothing, but Elmer, talking about Zaffich, even less. He's not the answer for less than expected season from Pringle. Exactly. And he's a project player. So he's a guy that you weren't.
They were not expecting to play him this season. He is very much a multi-year project guy. His size is a big benefit to where, once you get him up to speed, get maybe a little bit quicker, he'll be helpful in certain games. Whereas I think last night would have been a good game once they have him kind of where they want him to be, to at least come in and give some friction on the defensive side down low, kind of cause an issue here or there. But I also feel like they knew this wasn't going to be this season. It may not even be next season, but he's very much a project player, but I could see him having a decent sized impact here in the next couple of years. And I think that that's one that, is it worth holding on to? I don't know for sure, but I definitely think that his potential with his size, I think it's something to at least consider and keep on roster for sure.
Right. And it's like we've talked about before, more than likely next year, you're likely to see Paolo Samito more than you are Zaffich in terms of playing.
I think he will contest for a starting spot. Obviously, they're redshirting him this year. He's not been 100%. And yeah, what Transplant just said, more of a big body for practice time right now for our biggest to go against. He is a little bit slower on his feet reaction time, but that's one where if they can get him to where he's at least mediocre in that aspect, I feel like he can at least have a presence and kind of make his presence known in a couple years. But for now, it's not much more than big body for practice, I feel like, just because he is very undefined and very much a project piece. But yeah,
I think like the thing for Samito next year is part of it is the thing is it's partially going to depend on what your retention looks like in terms of like a guy like Malik Ewan, but also what you do in the portal on how much playing time he actually gets. If you
and I think Samito could step into a Brazil type role almost, where he's going to be almost more of a stretch 4. I think, if you get Ewan back and you get a big name out of the portal down low, I think Samito can still be able to kind of step on the court with them and complement their game by kind of extending the defense out. There's been a few games where the halftime shoot around or even pregame shoot around where he's been kind of in the corner and he's been able to knock down threes at a fairly consistent rate at that. So, I think that's one that you look at him. I think he's 7'1". He's definitely going to be a good little mismatch guy that we might be able to take advantage of. And I definitely think that looking ahead to next season, I think Semedo is one guy that you do want to kind of maybe not prioritize as like a top 4 or 5 guy to bring back, but I think you're definitely going to want to bring him back for sure and do what you can to bring him back
Right.
because I do think that he will have a role. I do think that it'll be a role that has a lot of growth opportunity. And it wouldn't shock me if at this point next season, he's averaging 20 to 25 minutes with 8 to 10 points a game and 6 or 7 rebounds and a 3 or 2 each game. Wouldn't shock me based on the kind of player he is.
Right. And
And
the other
yes,
guy you
transplant,
guys,
it does open up a lot of possibilities on both ends. And yes, I believe he is being redshirted.
whether it be a true red shirt or medical red shirt due to that back procedure,
Yeah.
but he's a guy that I think before that injury happened, he was expected to probably have a decent amount of playing time.
He was. I mean, he's 6'8", 6'9", able to play on the wing a little bit. He's able to handle the ball. I think at this point he's redshirting just because even in pregame warmups, he's not even going through the motions and layups. He's kind of just to the side. So I think they're kind of establishing a red shirt on that end for him. And that's another guy that I think you could see next year with a fairly decent sized role who, I think there's a couple guys that we're not seeing play right now, whether it be redshirting or what, but I think there's a couple guys that could have an impact next season that, I think Hawk fans will be excited to see once they see what he's able to do and how Artel and Semedo are able to play. I think that they'll be excited. I think that they can actually help a lot next season. And I feel like, they may not be starters, but I feel like they may be second, third guy off the bench, able to kind of step in and contribute some right away.
Right.
And have other teams be like, this is their third guy off the bench, and he's able to, take care of mismatches and take advantage of it. So I think there's definitely some possibilities there. Next season, I am looking at probably a 9-man rotation consistently.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things, too. You look at the formula Cal's putting together. Say you retain these guys, maybe you get Malik Ewan back. Like I've heard he's applying for his year of eligibility. If you get those guys, that's 3 key pieces that you could have for next year. Go out and get a starting big, and then you have these guys off the bench. I mean, you're looking to be in a solid position.
You pair that with 2 wings coming in out of the freshman class and another established point guard who's able to play well. He's able to play well with the ball, even not in his hands. And his on-ball defense is probably his biggest attribute for Jordan Smith Jr. I mean, you're looking at a potentially solid team. If you bring back, say, Malik Thomas, say Ewan, say
maybe
Billy,
Wagner,
if he doesn't play his way into a draft pick, or Knox, if he's coming back, potentially a Wagner or Knox could come back, plus the 3 guys coming in and the Semedo and Artel. I think you're looking at you could have a very, very solid roster next season. And, if you are able to get most of those guys back or all of them, along with your freshmen coming in, I'm not saying that they're going to finish super duper high next season, but what I will say is looking at the players that you potentially have coming back, if you bring back Ewan, Richmond, and Malik Thomas and the freshmen you have coming in, you could very much be looking at a preseason, at least from the media, preseason top 10 starting lineup. Obviously, the depth would be tough, but I think that you could be looking at one of the most talented starting lineups in the country. And I think that if you're able to go out and get a starting big from a Power 4 conference or Power 5 conference right now and bring them in to help and kind of give them more established bigs, and then I think the sky's the limit because we're seeing this year our ceiling is kind of what our bigs are able to do right now. And that's kind of what's hurting fans right now is, the guys we have, it's hard because they're getting worn down pretty quick.
Yeah. Or it's like in the case like Transplant Tech said, the contributions, especially from a guy that, like Pringle, is little to none when, we've seen him do pretty well as past 2 stops, South Carolina and Alabama. And then, it's like everybody's like, well, what happened to that guy? So,
yeah, I think that with what Pringle's doing this season, I think the fact that he constantly has that back brace on in the second half, I don't think he's 100%. I think he's trying to fight through a lot. But at that point, I'm almost like, let him rest a couple games and try to get him ready for March. At this point, you're not going to win the SEC title with Florida. At this point, I'm almost like, hey, rest Pringle a game or two. Try to see if you can get him somewhat back to his old form for the postseason. And I mean, honestly, what Transplant said about Ewan, I'm not upset with Ewan at all. I mean, yeah, he was 4-12 last night, but he still put up 11 points, 8 boards. And Ewan is, he's had a couple down games in the SEC play, but he has kind of established that consistent, 9 to 12 points with anywhere from 6 to 9 rebounds. It's very good, but it's also, you don't need all of your post contributions coming from that one guy doing that. So it's tough as a team right now to see that.
Right. And it's like, it's crazy to look at the irony between the two, back-to-back season, 2 bigs that you brought in that were supposed to be key pieces, struggled an entire year due to injury. Who knows? I would be ecstatic if we even got just what we saw, like, with Jonas Adu turning on last year right at the end of the year into tournament play. If you could even get just an ounce of that out of Pringle, that could make the difference in a game or two, in postseason. So, to your point, maybe you take some time, get that back healthy, and who knows? I'm not saying I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket, but who knows? Maybe you can see something like that happen.
Yeah, and I think that so far to this season, Arkansas has locked itself into a 5 to 6 seed. I don't really see them dropping down to that 7. Now, if we lose out, maybe. But if you're looking at, we're currently 3rd in the SEC play. There's a 3-way tie for 4th behind us. Tennessee, who we have the tiebreaker over. Mizzou, who we currently have the tiebreaker over, but still have to play there. And then Kentucky, who has the tiebreaker over us. So I don't see us really dropping out of that top 4, which would be that double bye for the SEC tournament. So that's why I would almost say, hey, let Pringle rest a couple games and try to get some strength and, some normalcy for him. Try to help that back issue best you can and then go from there. Obviously, you don't want to give up on the regular season, but at this point, it's like, hey, you got to make it work for March. So if you can give him a week and a half of rest, get him ready for March, and kind of just hope that, he can at least give you even just 6-3 or 6-4. That's one of the ways he's been giving. So, that's tough. And obviously we don't know the full story with all that. So that's just kind of what I'm seeing, kind of hoping.
Yeah.
And what Transplant just said, I completely agree with. Give Sealy some time, DJ some time. I think DJ's shown the last couple games, hey, if you can give him 20-plus minutes, he plays well. It's one of those where when you stick him in for 8 minutes and as soon as he misses a 3, you pull him out.
Rhythm in 8 minutes.
Exactly. Let him play 20-plus minutes. He's been in the league 3 years now. He can establish himself. He can be a good presence as a guard. Also give Acuff that more rest. And, hey, let Sealy know, hey, we're going to need an 8-man rotation come March. Especially because, hey, you play Thursday or Friday. If you win, you will play 2 days later, Saturday or Sunday. So it's going to be a quicker turnaround than what we're currently used to in conference play. Whereas now you play Wednesday, you're off Thursday, Friday, play Saturday. You're taking 1 day less of a break. So I think you're really going to need that 8th man in your rotation. So I think it's really good to kind of let Sealy get those extra minutes, especially now these last couple of games when, hey, he's allowed to make those, may not play bad, but he's allowed to make those freshman mistakes and learn from and still be on the court and see that kind of increased trust. I think that'll be big come March as well.
Yeah, I agree. And so, you turn around and look forward. 2 games left in the SEC regular season. You got Texas at home midweek this week on Wednesday at 6:00. And then you round out conference play on the road at Missouri. So, looking at Texas, they're 18-11, 7th in the SEC. You break down kind of who to look at for them. Their leading scorer and, leading player in nearly every quarter category. Swain, 17.7 points a game, plays about 32 minutes a game, averages 7.4 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.8 steals. That's all team leading. 2.7
yeah, he's a
turnovers.
guard, but he's also a 6'8" guard. So
Right.
that'll be kind of a mismatch for our guards. I would expect to see Billy guard him some.
Right. And shooting 55% from the field, 81% from the line, 33% from three. An interesting matchup that I'll be looking at is their second leading scorer, plays 25 minutes. Their big Matas, I'm not even going to, they're Lithuanian
Titus, I
player.
don't know how to say it for sure, but that's my best guess.
7 foot, 255. Definitely mismatch for our guys. 15-6 on the season averaging. Could be a guy that, it's going to be one of those asks of Ewan and Brazil to, handle
on
this
the
guy.
bright side for him, he doesn't shoot threes, so he's not able to kind of stretch the floor. And
Right, you don't have to worry about him
so that's
stepping
at least
outside. Yeah,
that's at least one positive to it. But yeah, and also 6'8" guard. It's going to be tough. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, Mark Mitchell, 6'9" guard for Missouri is what my mind jumped to immediately." I don't think this guy's quite as athletic as Mitchell, but he's a good player for sure. So, it's one of those. He also shoots 81% from the free throw line. So when he gets to the line, he's productive there. It'll be obviously a tough matchup, but hey, SEC, you don't really have many easy matchups.
Yeah.
So that's
and then
South Carolina. Sorry, but
yeah. And then third leading scorer, shocker here, Tremont Mark, a guy that Arkansas fans are all too familiar with. Didn't necessarily have the greatest game last year in Fayetteville, so we'll see what he does this year, averaging 13.4 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.9 assists this season, 47% from the field, shooting 74 from the line, and 31% from three. So, experienced guard, 6'5", 210, that we all know well. So it's going to be an interesting matchup when they come into Bud Walton on Wednesday. And, I'm hoping for a nice.
I love the boo this guy, Bud. Please do not boo Swain. Whenever we boo the other team's leading score, they go off for 20 plus. So let's please not do that. Let's boo someone else. But
Mark.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. He played for us, but at the same time, can't blame the guy too bad because it was a coaching change whenever he left as well. Right. It's not like he played for us and decided to dip. It was, new coaches in here. That kind of helps justify his decision to leave. But Texan, I think he is graduating this year. I think this is his grad year. I think he's done after this. So, not 100% sure. I'll have to look into it, but I believe so.
And then their other guy that averages double-digit points, Jordan Pope, 28 minutes a game for him, 13.1 points per game, 2.1 rebounds, 1.9 assists, shoots 41% from the field, 82% from the line, 37% from three. Again, guard play, it's going to be a little bit of a mismatch, like you mentioned, with Swain, but expect Billy to be on him. But with these other two guys, between Thomas, Acuff, Wagner, should be good. I'll be interested to see coach's approach on the plan for the big man, especially, stick Brazil and Ewan and, whatever minutes Pringle plays on him. And
I mean, my thought on it is you front him. I mean, anytime this season we have guarded a post from the back, we always get beat or get a foul. So I think that, you got to start off fronting. A lot of times we see, hey, we'll kind of play from behind. Like we'll kind of be behind their guy, and then once they get in foul trouble, we'll switch to fronting them. I think you just got to start off fronting to not even get in that foul trouble to start. And Mark, I disagree. Right. I think you got more than 4 games. I think you do win your first game in the tournament. I don't think we're going to get upset. I think we'll be a 5 or 6. I don't think we're going to lose to an 11 or 12. Depending on the matchup, if we're a 5, one of the 4s, there's not many 3s or 4 seeds that I'm too worried about in terms of how we match up. But also with that shorter rest, having the 1 day off in between could bite us in the butt. I don't know for sure, but I think we will win that first round and be able to at least get to the second round. So,
well, one thing to factor in too is one unknown you have in terms of looking at the tournament. Yeah, probably won't get a ton of contribution, but do you have Knox back available for at least some type of minutes to give guys breaks? That's the one thing that we don't know yet. Like, because Cal hasn't necessarily come out and said, "Oh, he's done for the season," which tells me he's hoping he can get back to, at least be another body, another depth piece, for a run. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that most likely you're getting Knox back, if at all. You're getting back the second weekend of the tournament and be very limited minutes. I don't know if you'll get him back in time for the first weekend.
right.
But, that's why I think it's important to get Sealy some minutes these last two games, kind of give him Pringles minutes. Let Ewan start. I know a lot of fans have been calling for Ewan to start. I'm a big supporter of Ewan coming off the bench, kind of being that spark plug off the bench now, him and Wagner with Billy starting. But I would say you let Ewan start these last two games. You let Pringle rest and try to heal up a little bit. Just not having just that bump and grind physical toll on his body for a week or so. See what kind of thing that does to help you. It can't hurt really. But I think you give Sealy some of those minutes. You let DJ's minutes grow. Give Acuff a little bit more rest. But yeah, and what Transplant just said, that's why I was saying if at all. It wouldn't shock me at all if he is done for the year. But who knows? So if I had to guess, we're not going to see Knox again. But if we did see him, I would say probably not till the second weekend.
Yeah. And, while talking basketball, an interesting thing that just came out to, not necessarily Arkansas related, but I think it's just funny is everybody all knows too well about Chad Baker-Mazara from Auburn last year. He went and teamed up with Coach Musselman at USC. Well, apparently he's no longer with the program the school announced. He averaged 18.5 points per game, so it was a key factor for them. No longer playing for Muss and USC, so interesting little tidbit there.
Gotta love that, right? Here, let me just pull up USC real fast because that's a team I would not mind being matched up against in a tournament right now. Texas, I think it is maybe. It's tough. I would say maybe back and forth. Muss does grills players. You got to kind of be a certain type to be able to take that constructive criticism. He is very anime, very over the top with it. And, when he was coaching here, did I like it? Yeah, I found it enjoyable. Now I'm kind of like, okay, it's a little much, dude. Chill out. But, I think it is kind of a combination. Baker-Mazara has been full of controversy in college from, what was it, last year, the year before at Auburn when he walked to the locker room when they were losing in March Madness early. I'm not going to say it's all Muss when it comes to that guy because Chad Baker-Mazara is probably the one player in college basketball I can't stand more than anyone else. But hey, you know what? I also think just with Muss's coaching style, he does have some guys he gets under their skin, maybe even not meaning to, but just his style of coaching. So, not every player is built to handle the coaching like that.
Right.
And yeah, Muss isn't doing that. He's not getting Charles Bediako. USC's acceptance rate, they're not going to just admit anyone early on like this. Right. And that's honestly, I'm being honest, their acceptance rate is a lot tougher, and that's one where you have to be very particular with players that you are bringing in because not every player can get accepted.
Right.
I'm not dissing anyone. That's USC's acceptance rate is tough. Muss plays a 7-man rotation right now. I think looking at this, maybe a 7-man rotation. So you lose one of those 7. No. That's not going to help. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But, Texas says, is Darren Peterson the new Chad Baker-Mazara, the player fans love to hate.
He's not going to be in college long enough to become that, but
Right.
whereas Chad Baker-Mazara, I think, could maybe even be done with his MD at this point with how long he's been in school. But yeah, no, Peterson is kind of, again, that controversial type. There's Chad Baker-Mazara, there's Peterson, there's Bediako. I mean, for different reasons, obviously. Peterson, I think the thing people are most upset about is just him not playing at all and kind of things on his own terms. I would not expect to see another situation like that at Kansas. I feel like Bill Self is going to learn from this year with that and not do that.
Yeah. And so as we finish up talking basketball, we're going to jump over to the baseball diamond as Arkansas bounced back from a really tough loss on Friday to win the series to avoid, you hate to see two losses in the same week to a non-con opponent. But, at least Arkansas was able to bounce back. There was the minor freak out on Friday of what happened to our bats. Where'd our bats go? But also you saw UT Arlington, their starting pitcher had one heck of a pitching performance. I mean,
Kalen
Digert,
the game of his life, that first game of the series. But I'm also just like, I think the coach is not exactly being responsible with this player there. He threw 130 pitches in the third weekend of the season. I mean, your ace is not going to last all but half the season at that rate. So that's one of those where, hey, it's going to be dicey for sure.
Right. So he went 8 2/3 innings, allowed only 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, and his ERA sitting at .96. So, he's doing well to start the season. Clearly their ace, clearly their guy. They did let him go long. Arkansas was trying to make a comeback right there at the end of the game. Just a little bit too short to be able to do it. It was close. On Arkansas' side, starting pitching, Gabe Gackel got to start again, 5 1/3, 8 hits allowed, 4 runs, 4 of those earned. So this was, all of UT Arlington's runs came off of Gackel. It's starting to trend towards similar to last year where he struggles at the beginning of the game. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts on 88 pitches. Then you had Cole Gibbler come in relief, 3 2/3, allowed 1 hit, 5 strikeouts on 39 pitches with a .79 ERA. So, I think this is just a sign that this is kind of what to expect out of a Gackel. May struggle a little bit in the opening frames, maybe not, but from what we saw the entirety of last year, and I don't know if there's another guy as of right now, and I'm saying that with just a couple weekends into the season, that Dave would switch into that starting rotation right now that would do just as good or better than Gackel. So why not leave him in that role?
Yeah, I think this early in the season, that's tough to make, especially with how good we know Gackel is. It's tough, but it's also one of those, hey, do you really want to get down on him and pull him out of the bullpen? Let him know, right, hey, I don't trust you as a starter. Or do you trust him to work through this whole starting games off week and then getting stronger as the game progresses? It's kind of tough. I will say that, do I think, in my defense, or not my defense, sorry, in my opinion, I think moving him to a Saturday might not be the worst thing in the world. And maybe see how that goes. Maybe because, hey, last season, yeah, he would start games off, take a little bit. But now, not only are you starting the games, you're starting the series off. So with what we've seen so far, I'm almost like, hey, let Colin Fisher start being your Friday guy. Let Gackel be your Saturday. And let Dietz be your Sunday guy right now. Just change the order up of your starters, which I know is obviously easier said than done just because they're on their rest schedules and all that.
Right.
But it's one of those where I think that maybe giving Gackle a game to get familiar with the team and then coming in might help more.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not on staff. I don't know enough on it, but that's at least my opinion, just as someone who's kind of watching the games and all that.
Yeah. And I agree with Transplant Texan here. He said, would love to hear Hobbs' feedbacks from this game. Unfortunately, he's not feeling well tonight. It was a week of lowest lows to a finish with a high. So how does a baseball fan's heart keep pace? Exactly. So
he's not with us tonight because of that, probably. He's like, I'm a little too stressed from it. I'm just not going to hop on then.
Yeah. But offensively, this was a day where,
Appreciate it, Texan.
Yeah. It's a day where, again, like Transplant Texan said earlier, after Friday, the Fire Nate Thompson chants came out, all the haters on social media because, our hitting just wasn't there. You had 4 hits on the day, scoring 3 runs, with a lot of those coming late in the game. You look at it, Camden Kojal and Kahil Aloy had 3 of your 4 hits. Camden went 2 for 4 with 1 run scored. And then Aloy was 1 for 4 with 1 run scored and 2 RBIs. So, you're heart of the order there, doing all the work. But like Zane and I were talking about before we jumped on, unfortunately, that's how baseball goes. You're going to have games where, again, the UT Arlington pitcher had probably his best game of the season.
Yeah. And that's also why you see series in baseball, because any pitcher can come out and have his best game ever, and you can see these teams knock off your top 10 teams.
Right.
But by doing a series, it kind of takes away that exclusionary game where someone was just having to deny their lives. And so, that's one of those where I think it's, I will say what Texan just said. I've always been more of a casual baseball fan. I haven't really been, I've always been primarily basketball, secondary football, and then third baseball. But last year or two, I've kind of gotten more in on the baseball side of it. Everyone wants to bash it, but like right now we have more home runs this season than we did last year at this point. And that team, pretty sure, didn't they break the school record for home runs in the season? So, we're still fine. It's just, it's difficult because we've had 2 or 3 games where they haven't shown up, but yet that's baseball. Everyone's going to have their off days.
Right.
It's probably overstated. Yeah, Babe Ruth had the home run record for forever. He also had the record for the most strikeouts. So, it's one of those where it's so much it's so easy to have an off game, especially if you have one pitcher that's on.
Right.
To where it's one of those, I think you're overreacting if you're going after one game in a series and stating that. Now, granted, if we are 7 weeks into the season and we've lost 6 of our series, okay, maybe so. At this point, I don't think it's anything to freak out about.
Right.
And we showed that for the next 2 games.
And Mark's got a good point, too, here. This team has been absolutely hit with the flu over this past week. Guys were sick all week. Kojal missed a game. They had him DH in a game just because, wasn't feeling the best. So, these guys are also trying to recover. And so that may be part of it. Yeah, they may not be sick anymore, but their body's still recovering from illness. So, not trying to make up excuses here. Yes, UT Arlington's pitcher did fantastic, but you combine that with these guys trying to recover and get back to
and there's a difference between an excuse and a reason. There's a difference in that. So, you can say it's an excuse all you want. It's very realistic, though. It's especially like the flu going around in this area right now. I've got a couple people I know who have had it, and they are just down bad on it. So if it's anything like that, they're probably struggling a lot. It's probably taking all they got just to even come out there. So, and no excuses. It's how it is, just how it is. So,
right. And
you got the win on the series, which is what's important.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. You flip to the last 2 games of the series. Arkansas ties it up Saturday with a 9-0 victory, and then today they went 11-1. So, there's your bats, picking back up. Like we said, it's just how baseball goes. So, Saturday Arkansas gets to win 9-0 to force the rubber match on today. You had Hunter Dietz get the start in this one, and probably his best outing of the season. We've talked about how he struggled a little bit down in Arlington last weekend against Xavier. Well, he came out this weekend, pitched 7 innings, only allowed 2 hits, no runs, only 1 walk, 8 strikeouts on 93 pitches. So, easily his best outing of the season. And, that's a positive trend to, he's getting a little better. And that's what we said last week was he'll probably get a couple more opportunities, but he's a guy that he just hadn't had many innings behind him. And so as you see, he's getting more comfortable. It feels like he's starting to find his rhythm, find his pace in the game. And if, he can just keep getting better from this, yes, I know it's UT Arlington, but, to have successful outings like this, you can build upon that. And going forward, if he can continue this trajectory, he'll be a solid piece to that rotation this season.
Yeah, I think, it was only UT Arlington. You can say that all you want. I'm not saying you personally. I'm just saying fans in general are saying, right, hey, we should have done this, whatever. Again, it's baseball. Every game is different. Every day is different. Every day has who knows what could possibly happen.
Right.
But yeah, I think, seeing the game that Dietz had yesterday definitely was beneficial for us and see him kind of get everything right.
And then you had freshman Mark Brissy come in and close out the final 2 innings, allowing no hits, only 1 walk, 3 strikeouts for him on 26 pitches. So, a guy that is a freshman, but it seems like Dave is putting him in some situations and, having him able to maybe step into a closing type role. I mean, we see McGuire and maybe Gibbler as some closers for you. Well, now you can maybe talk about a guy like Mark Brissy that, he came in and closed it out down in Arlington when we played Tarleton. He closed it out yesterday. So, maybe that's what Dave's teeing him up for this season with the outings, because you've seen him pitch about 4 innings total, 2 down in Arlington, 2 yesterday. So, it'll be interesting to see how he does the rest of the season and what kind of opportunities he gets going forward. But, we know Arkansas likes to bring in some young pitchers and get them in the fire early. And, Brissy's stood up to the test so far.
Yeah, definitely good to see. No, definitely. That's one that I could see where I don't know if they might. I could see them making him a midweek starter at some point, but I also feel like if he continues to pitch like this, you'd rather him in the bullpen on the weekend. And again, it's those young arms. He's a freshman, so I mean, he's only going to get better. And so, hey, 2 years from now, when he's a draft eligible junior, hey, who knows what he'll be doing then? But and there's a handful of pitchers that we've seen at their time at Arkansas as a freshman get those kind of limited innings coming in. By the time they're a junior, they're high draft pick, solid dudes. So it's definitely something to be excited about with the youth on the pitching staff as well, and how, for the most part, they are holding their own right now and looking pretty solid.
Yeah. Now, the other side of this is your offense looked much better yesterday. You had home runs by Kojal and New. Ruiz was back to the same Ruiz we saw down in Arlington, getting on base. He was 2 for 4, scored a run, had an RBI, was hit by a pitch, and had a stolen base. Kojal doing Kojal things, 2 of 5 from the plate, scored a run, RBI off of his big home run, scoring 3 RBIs. Helfrich, 1 of 4, scoring a run, walked once. Cahillo, 1 of 4, scored a run. Reese Robinette, 2 of 2, scored 2 runs. Micah New, again, one of the other guys that had a home run for us yesterday, was 2 of 4 with 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs coming off that home run. And then Nola Souza getting some action at third base with the way Pompey's been playing. That was a move that I figured would happen this weekend. It's like, get him in the dugout, get him maybe settled down a little bit, but also you're getting to get Souza back in the field to play, testing out his arm a little bit to see how he's recovering. And, if it looks to me this weekend, it looks like he's pretty close, if not almost, I hate to say 100%, but he's right there. Some throws and plays he is able to make at third this weekend showed that he's got a healthy arm that, can make majority of throws you're going to need to do at third, but also he went 1 of 4 with an RBI. So coming out and able to swing the bat a little bit better. And then Carson Brumbaugh, your freshman that has struggled at the plate immensely, 1 for 3, got a run scored, walked as well. So, he's maybe this is where he's turning the corner going forward, having success at the plate, but offensively, much better approach at the plate yesterday, scoring 9 runs, able to take care of business and get the win. I mean, you started this game off by the 3rd inning, you were up 6-0. Added on 3 additional runs there in the 8th to kind of just give yourself some insurance runs. But, it was good to see this team bounce back after a tough game on Friday.
Yeah, definitely good to see. Now, I don't know if I've actually expressed this to everyone, but, I'm primarily a basketball guy, but let me channel my inner baseball Hawgs. That's kind of what he was talking about Thursday. It's good to see Souza being able to step in at third base. Nothing against Pompey, but he has been struggling at the bat or at the plate, I mean. But seeing Souza be able to come in at third does allow, either Aloy or Stewart to be your DH. That way you can have both of them batting and one of them being in right field. Because right now, the way New, Ruiz, Aloy, and Stewart are all batting right now, you want all 4 of them in your batting lineup. And so now Souza being able to play in the field opens up the possibility for one of them to be the DH. And that was very, very solid. And that's going to be big for the team as well.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. We saw it this weekend, between yesterday and today. You have Aloy DHing, and then you have Stewart in right field. I know Dave mentioned in one of his pressers how he doesn't necessarily want to play Stewart in right field, but you can't throw him in left because you're not going to move Ruiz. But he's got such a good bat that, you've got to have both of these guys playing. And then defensively, I feel like Stewart and Aloy are probably on equal footing when it comes to playing right field. Yes, Stewart has more experience playing in the field, but that's in the left field where his natural position is. But you have, both those guys, so you're going to get those guys in the lineup as possible. And as we mentioned, Pompey, the way he just hasn't been hitting the ball well, seeing it well. And so, you pull him in the dugout for some games. You get Souza out there. You get him some good testing and seeing how that arm's feeling. And like Transplanted Texan asked, Souza injured last season, ? He's back.
How's was that at Georgia when he hurt his shoulder last season?
He slid into third head first last season on the road at Georgia, broke his collarbone, had to have that surgery mid last season. Dave said coming into the year, he wasn't necessarily as far as along as what he had hoped he was. He said it just depends on when he gets him back in the field. We saw him able to take batting early on the season down in Arlington. And this weekend, I guess Dave had confidence enough to, throw him in and see how that arm was feeling. I guess saw enough in practice that he said, let's run him out there and see how it goes. And, unless something changes, I think you might be seeing Souza at third for a little bit while, maybe Pompey gets to, gets a reset in and gets back to how we know he can play.
Yeah, and also with what Transplant said about the scoring, it was a lot of manufactured runs. There were, quite a few singles in the second and the third, and then the third we had a few singles and then a 3-run homer. Give us 4 runs. What?
I said just hit singles.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You can play that small ball and put up some runs like that. That's another asset or another facet of a team that's very good.
Right.
And then in the 8th, we had a couple more base hits and then a 3-run homer again. So
doing a little
Being the
bit of both.
guys on base were some singles and, kind of some small ball. And then two of the big three were home runs to get home multiple guys.
Right.
So,
And you're still seeing Dave be aggressive this year on, having guys running, having guys stealing bases, getting early
a
jumps.
lot more aggressive than we've seen last few seasons.
Right. And
I'm
then
happy
you jump
with
over, right. And then you jump over to today. Arkansas gets the win today to clinch the series 11-1. Colin Fisher got the start today. 6 innings pitched for him, 5 hits allowed, 1 run, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts on 85 pitches. Steele Eves closes it out. 1 inning pitched for him, 1 strikeout, 14 pitches. And Colin Fisher is now 19 innings pitched this season without an earned run. He is fifth on the
very
list
good
of Razorbacks that have done that since 2003. And, if he can keep it up, he could find himself at the top of that list in the next few games or so.
Yeah, I mean, he's now 19 innings, 26 strikeouts, 3 walks on the season. That's a very good ratio as well. He has allowed, 7 hits, 1 unearned run. 7 hits in 19 innings, so I'll take that because I don't think any of them have been extra base hits. Maybe 1 double, but I think they were all singles.
Right.
1 double allowed. And
right. You're
batting average against him is only 109. So I'll gladly take 1 in 10 batters getting a hit on him.
Right.
So,
And he's a guy that's definitely trusting his defense behind him, knowing if he allows some hits, all right, I've got this defense behind me that is one of the best fielding defenses in the country. That's one thing Dave prides himself on. You saw Arkansas lead the country in fielding percentage last year. They're right up there again this year. So, that makes it much easier on your pitchers when you've got a solid defense behind you. So, offensively, the bats didn't slack up today, as you saw a continuation from yesterday, building on that. Damian Uriz, your leadoff guy, goes 1 for 3, scores a run, has an RBI, has a walk. Kojal, 2 for 3, another home run for him on the day, as well as Helfrich and Stewart both. 2 runs scored for Kojal, 3 RBIs, 1 walk as well. Ryder Helfrich, 3 for 3 at the plate with 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored, and a walk. Keo Lloyd, 2 for 4, 1 run scored, 1 RBI. You jump down Zach Stewart, 1 for 3, 1 run scored, 1 RBI, and 1 walk, along with that home run. And then Micah New continuing with 1 for 3, with 1 run scored, 1 RBI, 1 walk. And then Carson Brumbaugh, maybe we're starting to see him, in an upward trend. Goes 2 for 3 today with 2 runs scored, an RBI. And I mean, hey, at some point, these freshmen, it's going to start clicking. And maybe this is what he needed, between yesterday and today. He's starting to look like he's seeing the ball better. Again, we'll see what that does when you see some higher level competition come through. But, if you can just build that confidence now going forward, that'll help so much. And exactly what Transplant Texan said, Ryder Helfrich, we see you. He's just playing on a different level this year. You go 3 for 3 at the plate, score 2 runs, hit a home run, 2 RBIs. He shows you why he's that good of a guy and why he's going to be a first-round pick in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, definitely playing very well right now. Also, Koziel leading the team with 6 home runs is also playing very well right now. And I think it does speak to the depth and the roster that Van Horn's built, and also his philosophy of, getting those freshmen some valuable plays, some valuable time. Through 12 games on the season, only 3 guys have played all 12 games, and only 2 of them have started all 12 games, being Helfrich and New. So you're seeing a lot of guys being able to get some rest, but also getting a lot of, younger guys some experience in there and some good reps. So And that's obviously only going to help the team as the season progresses. And, you know, obviously we don't want an injury if one were to happen, though. Getting these young guys these reps will help if someone is called upon to kind of step in and take someone's place. So, you know, I think we're in a great position as a team, seeing, you know, kind of the power and the experience of some big guys, but also seeing kind of that next wave, the next younger crew guys on the team stepping in and being able to kind of, you know, step up and rise to the occasion like we've seen Brumbog the last couple games. So I think that's also exciting to see for the team as a whole on more than just this season, even just seeing, hey, you know, like team's in good hands. There's a lot of youth getting some valuable reps now that'll only help in the future.
And that's the thing too. It's like you look at Brumball, you know, a guy that, you know, has struggled at the plate, but, you know, Dave emphasizes how important that defensively, how he wants his players to perform. And that's what Brumball's doing. And it's Dave just knows it was a matter of time until he finally gets his bat going. But, you know, you're not going to take him out of the lineup just because of how well he's playing defensively. And now you see things starting to click a little bit. So Dave knows what he's doing with how he rotates guys. And, you know, we got the series win. That's what matters at the end of the day. You know, you're going to turn around this week and get ready for another couple midweek games as you have, or one midweek game, Oral Roberts on Tuesday at 3:00. And then a little bit different next weekend as you have a 4-game series against Stetson where you'll be playing Friday through Monday, with Friday's game being at 6:00, Saturdays at 2, Sunday at 1, and then noon on Monday. So an extra game next weekend. And then after that, conference play is here. So,
yeah. So it's definitely good 4-game series next weekend. Obviously, you know, get more experience for some of these arms, some more at bats, some more looks for everyone. But yeah, no, conference play will be it'll be a tough start. I think it's at Mississippi State to start. So conference play. Oh yeah, here you go. You're at number 4 in the country to start. So yeah, that's a good little wake up call for SEC schedule and how tough it will be.
To ease the tension there, it's actually here, so you get them home.
Okay. So for some reason, I was thinking Mississippi State was away. So hey, that's good at least. I'll take that. Right. So they get to be the ones saying, "Hey, we get to go on the road." Dang it.
So hey, I'll take starting at home for conference play, especially playing number 4. So
for sure, much better than on the road. My bad, guys.
But I will say, you know, we jump over to the other diamond, and I appreciate Transplant Text and said, "Hey, everyone, let's get these guys some likes. I've been working for it." I appreciate it. But
very much appreciate it.
You know, who also has been working amazingly is this Arkansas softball team. You know, they go undefeated this weekend. And Courtney Deifel gets her 400th career win. I know we talked about that on Thursday in the show as they beat Omaha 10-2. Another run rule victory. And then Arkansas just continued that into the weekend where they increased their winning streak to 14 games by beating Boise State 10-1 in a run rule game, and then Charlotte 14-3 in a run rule game. And 12 of the Hawgs' 16 wins now have come by the way of run rule this season. They're on a 14-game winning streak, which is tied for second longest in program history. And in the games on Saturday, Carly Davison highlighted the Razorbacks in both of those games by going, you know, just a casual 5 for 5 on the day with a home run, 6 RBIs, 3 runs scored, a double, a stolen base. And her home run was a 2-run home run that did complete the run rule over Boise State. And, you know, she extended her reached base streak to 13 games while improving her hitting streak to 7 games. And then you have a young freshman in Brinley Bain that continued her success at the plate, going 3 for 6 with 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored, and reached base in all 17 games this season.
Wow. Yeah. So Obviously, no one's going to replace Bree Ellis, but it seems like the team as a whole is trying to step up and fill that gap. So that's definitely good to see.
I was about to say, when you look at, her replacement, I hate to use the word replacement, but the new first baseman, Tiana Bell, she's coming in, and after the games weekends today, she's hitting 500 with 27 hits and 54 at bats, 22 runs scored with 6 home runs on the season, 21 RBIs, and a slugging percentage of .926.
I think that's pretty good.
I would say so. So, in addition to those games against Boise State and Charlotte, in addition to Davison having that home run, Tiana Bell, who I just mentioned is playing at first, smashed a grand slam in the win over Charlotte while going 1-for-1 with 2 walks and 3 runs scored.
Yeah, I'll take
She's
that.
channeling her inner Bree Ellis there. So, and then on the pitching side, you had Cam Harrison improved to 3-0 by pitching an abbreviated complete game shutout against Boise State, where she struck out 7, walked 1, and just allowed 1 run and 1 hit, both which came on a 4th inning home run. Peyton Burnham, 4-1 on the season with a win over Charlotte. And in the nightcap, she had two strikeouts while allowing 2 runs on 7 hits and 2 walks in 4 innings. Lily Faye McWhorter finished the victory and pitched the final inning, in which she allowed 2 hits and an unearned run. So, that was the games that were on Friday. And then you jump over to Saturday, where things continue to stay hot on day 3 of the Woo-Pig Classics, with Arkansas improving to 18-1 record as a whole, where they beat Omaha 4-2, beat Charlotte 9-0 in a run rule game, increasing the winning streak to 16 games. Now 13 of the Hawgs' 18 games are run rules this season.
So I do have a quick question, just because I don't know personally. So I know baseball. After 7 innings, 10-run lead is run rule. What's softball? Run rule, do you know?
So their game is a total of 7. Run rule is 5, and it's, I believe, softball. Eight or more runs after 5 innings.
Okay, so it's 8 after 5. Got it.
So it's like with Arkansas on Saturday beating Charlotte 9-0. They were up 9 by the 5th inning. So, that was the run rule. So,
okay.
So now they're on a 6-game winning streak. They are 3 games away from tying the 19-game winning streak from the team in 2022.
Okay.
In Charlotte, in the game against Charlotte, they had a walk in game 1 and 2 hits for Brinley Bain, extending her reached base streak to 19 games, improving her program record for consecutive games reached by a freshman to start their career. Kylie Wyckoff highlighted the Hawgs in their win over Omaha with going 2 of 3, pair of home runs, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, gave Arkansas a 3-2 lead with that 2-run home run in the 4th inning before adding some insurance runs and a solo home run. Her next at-bat in the 6th. Sailor Timmerman, freshman pitcher, moved to 3-0 on the season after allowing only 2 runs on 7 hits and a walk while striking out 1 against in 4 innings. Omaha, Robin Heron earned her first save of the season by tossing 3 scoreless innings and striking out 6 while allowing just 3 hits and a walk in 3 innings of work. Dakota Kennedy led the Hawgs with 3 RBIs in the win over Charlotte, courtesy of a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Her 4th of the season, Reagan Johnson, Brinley Band also highlighting the Arkansas offense with Reagan Johnson going 2 of 3 with a double and 2 runs scored. Brinley Band going 2 for 2 with a double and an RBI. So, the team continues to battle with it. And then today in a game against Kansas, this was the Dakota Kennedy game where she hit 3 home runs in the single game today. She became just the third Razorback in program history to hit 3 or more home runs in a single game. And the only other Hawgs to accomplish that feat were Danielle Gibson, who hit 4 home runs while completing the home run cycle in a win back in 22, and Rylan Hedgecock, who hit 3 in a win over Kentucky in 2023. She is a senior, and she hit her first home run to center field in the first inning before blasting a 2-run home run to right field in the bottom of the second and finishing her day with a 2-run home run to left center. It marked her first career 3-home run game and her 6th career multi-homer game. She also registered her 3rd career 5+ RBI game.
Okay.
So Arkansas is now on a 17-game winning streak after today. Second longest, again, 19 is that record back in 22. 14 of the Hawgs' 19 victories have been run rule. So, this team is not letting up. I know they've got the pitching. They had some hitting last year. Courtney Difel reloaded this team for this year. Going forward, as we mentioned, softball is kind of, if you look at it, they're a week ahead of baseball, so they're starting conference play this coming weekend, whereas baseball will start theirs the following weekend. And they have Georgia coming to town to open the season at Bogle. And the last rankings that we have, Georgia is at number 11. So it will be a top 10 matchup, or top 12 matchup with Georgia, and then Arkansas being 8. We'll see what the rankings come out with this week after such a dominant performance this week for Arkansas. So like Transplant Texan said up here, where was it? Ladyback softball and gymnastics holding the line for female athletes on campus. Lady Razorbacks basketball is struggling, but they're in rebuilding, so it's hard to necessarily count that against them with new coaches rebuilding the program. But yes, softball and gymnastics doing well, and we'll talk about it Thursday of this next week's show. But you talk about gymnastics next Friday is a big one. Everybody get out there if you can, even if you don't necessarily watch a ton of gymnastics. We're shooting.
We are planning on being in there. So
I was about to say, yes, we're all going to be there. Asterisk with Hobb since he's in Mississippi. But for us that are here in Northwest Arkansas, we're going to be there. We're shooting to break a collegiate record with the most attendance at a gymnastics meet. And, we get the pleasure of, we perform in Bud Walton, which has one of the highest attendances in college basketball. But then you tip that with and combine that with not a lot of other programs perform in venues on their campus that has that much seating capacity.
Yeah.
So if we can break that record, you're not going to have
definitely got the ability.
Right. You're not going to have anybody that will be able to come close. Plus, it's going to be a whiteout. Oklahoma is number 1. Arkansas last season had several meets where they upset highly ranked teams. Let's make Oklahoma another one of those as they come in this weekend. It is a whiteout, so if get out there, wear white, come to the game, the meet, and cheer on the Razorbacks, and you get to see hype man Corey himself in person. You've seen him on the show, and the work and hype he puts in is real, and you don't want to miss it. So get out there and do that, and we'll have an away basketball game next weekend. You'll have softball conference play starting. You'll have another 4-game series for baseball. So, the busyness continues. Luckily, there's just no overlapping basketball games going on campus. So,
yeah.
With that, we're going to get ready to wrap up here. Busy time with softball here, gymnastics. They're about to get ready for the SEC championships, and then you'll have their version of national championships and tournaments and kind of round robin type meet play. And then before you know it, like we said, conference play is going to be starting with baseball as well. So as we get ready to wrap up, anything other than your usual, Zane?
Yeah, I do want to give a quick shout out to Hawgs in the Combine. I know we're kind of running over a little time right now, but hey, Taylor Green set QB records for the broad jump, the vertical, and the 40. And Mike Washington had the fastest 40 of all running backs this year at the 4.33. I've seen 4.36 and 4.37 for Taylor. I'm not sure which one was the official, but also had an 11.2 broad jump and a 43 and a half inch vertical. So broad jump, vertical, and the 40 all broke QB records. I believe Anthony Richardson had all three of them before.
I think he also had a good long jump as well.
Okay. So, but yeah, want to give a quick shout out to them. So that was awesome. Awesome representation for the Hawgs there.
I was about to say, he's out there throwing dimes as well in his throwing session too.
Yeah,
so
some good distance on him too.
You know,
but,
and
yeah, other than that, hey, Woo Pig always for me. So
right. I will say I was watching part of the combine where Taylor was performing. They were talking about, man, with how well he's performing at the combine, you know, he might be a guy that might be interested in switching over to receiver. I see transplants comments. He addressed that today. They asked him and he said, no, I'm a quarterback and that's what I'm going to stay. So I think he's got a great talent there. If you can just get him on the right team where there's not a ton of expectations for him to come in and perform right away, get him somewhere with some experience where he can grow, you know, for how his play style, his body style, how he likes to play. To me, the perfect fit if you want to have a good back mentor for him, get him in Baltimore sitting behind Lamar. You know, those two guys are very similar play styles, very similar type of players. Let him learn from Lamar.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic there. As far as Mike Washington, his draft stock is just going up. He has the opportunity to be an every down back in the league. And it's like they were talking about when they were talking about him was how every year where he went out to, like, he went from New Mexico State to Arkansas, and what did he do? He just leveled up his play. So, you know, what do you think he's going to do at the next level too? So, but yeah, Transplant Texan also mentioned Julie Neal, Mike Washington representing. And then I believe Carmona performed with the lineman today. Haven't seen necessarily official numbers for him yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
But yeah, you know, you have Hawgs setting records with, you know, if we're being honest, just freak athletes. So
yeah, for sure.
So we'll see what happens where they go. But as always, we're going to wrap up here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. On YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. That way you don't miss any time we go live. We're going to wrap up, get out of here. Everybody have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you on Thursday for our regular show. We'll recap our basketball game against Texas, talk about our midweek baseball game, and
appreciate
preview the weekend. So with that, Zane and myself, we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you on Thursday.